No, there's nothing wrong with me. Nothing at all. You, on the other hand, there is something wrong with you. With everyone. All of these masks people are wearing, but no one else sees it for some reason. Not me. Not anymore. I'm taking mine off today. I guess I should explain. Nothing better to do anyway. I grew up just like you. Maybe a bit more aware. Even growing up, I never felt normal. But what is normal? Normal is just a figment of the imagination. It is for people who want to fit in and want their peers to accept them for their normality, while they use this fiction to marginalize others. They tease you for being different. They get off on others' displeasure, somehow making themselves move closer to the side of normal. It's almost religious in nature. People want to be on the right side of normal. And if you aren't, you are persecuted and shunned into eternal damnation of weirdness hell. But not me. I would never fall into their mind games. Every time they teased me, I stopped them the only way I knew how. I would beat the ever-living shit out of them. As time passed, and more people decided to cross me, they left me alone. I began to be the outcast entering my high school days. People just looked at me but never said a word. My infamy followed me wherever I went, but I didn't mind. I kept them off my back. I was never the schooling type. I do consider myself a smart individual, way more smart than a collection of mindless sheep. To me, school always seemed like brainwashing. It makes everyone fall in line. They never even make an attempt to teach you anything of actual value. What if tomorrow is the day Russia invades? How are we supposed to defend ourselves? They aren't teaching self-defense in schools. Not even basic finances. How do they pretend to cultivate the next generation without teaching them how to keep a budget and file taxes? Lord knows the government loves to siphon money out of our pockets, but at least teach us how to do it efficiently. So, of course, I went to school. I did my time like the law made me to. I graduated almost bottom of my class, but as usual, no one cared or tried to help. They just stayed quiet and let me be. Most of my teachers thought it was a miracle that I even graduated. But like I said, I am smart. They just don't know it. Well, there is a slight detail I neglected to mention. During high school, I began to experiment. Yes, I began to use drugs. But who doesn't, right? I started out with alcohol, but I never really liked it. Although I did grow fond of the hard stuff. Then I began to dabble in marijuana. You know, the light stuff. But for some reason, those never tickled my fancy. See, I believe that there is a reality way deeper than ours. One that is actually real. The only way to get that is to get high. The government, no, the world doesn't want you to know that what we live in is all fantasy. All those drugs that they call illegal, those are the only way to really be in reality. The only problem is that after using these substances, the body seems to have a harder time reaching that real plane of existence. So I began to use heavier substances. I need to tell people, but they never believe me. Everyone is living a lie, but not me. They're the ones. I have tried to explain these nitwits of society that they live in a fake world. Then they all just avoid me. I guess that infamy still follows even though I am trying to help them. Why would they not listen to me? I speak the truth. A man holds a Bible, preaches to the masses on the streets, and people line up and eat it up. I let them know how to live life properly now, and I am the crazy one. It's all shit. Oh, the mask. Yes, let me explain. I have realized why all of these idiots will not believe me. We all wear a mask, and we do not know it. This mask that we all wear keeps us in this reality and keeps us normal. No one wants or has attempted to take off the mask. But today, I will show the world what it means to live in the real world. With this device and the best blunt I've ever smoked, and I will finally remove my mask. I know there will be people who will try to stop me. Those don't want to face that their lives are a lie. Too bad. It changes today. No one will stop my revolution. I just need to remove it at any cost. I walk into the lobby. People sit and read their magazines. Must be waiting to visit people. As soon as the receptionist sees me, her eyes widen. She begins to wave me towards her frantically. As I walk to her, she opened the door with a file in her hand. When I got to her, she closed the door and quietly handed me this file. She quietly whispered to me that no one else wanted this case. Then she scurried back to her desk. I quickly go to my office and begin to go through the case file. I couldn't believe what I was reading, and I had to see it for myself. I grabbed the file, downed my coffee, and rushed to the room of this patient. As I got there, I slowed down and my jaw dropped. I know that the file wouldn't lie, but there are some things in life you need to see to believe. There he sat, a man with a head and face covered in bandages. Red stains covered the bandages, and he is restrained completely on his bed. I look at the file one more time. 911 was called by a worker closing a local convenience store. He reported a man who seemed like he was on drugs was pacing back and forth around the parking lot with a broken bottle and smoking what he thought was marijuana. The first to arrive were the police. They were shocked to see this man taking a puff of his blunt and attempting to take off his own face with the broken bottle. The cops quickly sprung to action. They called for backup and they tried to talk the man down. Almost instantaneously, the ambulance arrived to help. The paramedic quickly grabbed a syringe with a sedative, but it was no use. There was no way to get near this man without him harming someone. After what seemed like an eternity, 2 cruisers arrived to help out. They quickly devised a plan. In an instant, an officer drew his stun gun, shot the man, and all of the men rushed him. Even after being stunned, which I might add is 50,000 volts running through a human body, it took 8 struggling men to try to pin him down to give him the sedative. It took way longer for the man to be sedated. It apparently didn't go down super smooth. One of the officers got cut up on his arm due to the bottle struggle. At the end, he almost had his entire face off of his body. They had to surgically attach it back. Now you might be asking how he was able to do it. They found a slurry of drugs in his system, too many to list. It's a miracle that he would actually be alive after all of that. There's really only one explanation. He must have built a high tolerance for the drugs. The thing he was smoking was a strong strain of cannabis with something else. Embalmment fluid. It's called wet on the street. It does crazy things to you. Drugs are no joke. No one wanted to give him an evaluation. I guess I'm the man to do it. I enter his room and see just the extent of his bondage. His records say that he is prone to violent acts. He assaulted one of our workers when they brought him food. I sit down by him. "Hello," I say. "My name is Dr. Wiles." He slowly begins to move his head towards me. "What's your name? I see here in your file that you are John Doe. You must have a name, correct?" His chains begin to rattle, and his body begins to shake. He wants to get to me, but as long as he stays in his bed, I'll be fine. Either way, I have a clear shot through the open door. Then he stops struggling. I wait and look at him. I see his mouth slowly open and he begins to speak. "Are you normal?" The question struck me as strange. I pondered his question and replied, "What is normal?" I see his serious face turn into a sick scowl. It shuddered me to my core. It was strange, really. Then his scowl turned into a twisted smile. He began to go into excruciating detail about the concept of normality. Listening to him speak, you wouldn't think this man was a drug addict. You would think he was a philosophy professor in an Ivy League school. He then began to talk about why his drug use is important and how he wants the world to know the truth. He then explained the idea of the mask. That is what truly disturbed me. To think that a man felt like his face was a facade to cover up the truth was pure insanity. After he finishes, he looks me dead in my eyes. "You look like a man of logic. Do you think I am crazy?"